If you're the only thing I ever get for Christmas, then everything I wish for has come true. You're the single item on my list. You're my one and only Christmas wish. The mistletoe is where.
Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. Today I am back with a new video for you guys. And today I thought I would finally just sit down and film a makeup tutorial. It's gonna be like part talk through and some parts part voiceover because I don't know, I was just in the mood to talk some and then just do a voiceover for other parts. I wanted to film a holiday look before we got into Christmas. Since I haven't been able to get one up for you guys, so I wanted to do something like gold and sparkly mixed with some greens. And yeah, you could use this for Christmas Eve, New Year's, whatever you may be celebrating. And yeah, I just thought it would be fun to do something more dramatic. If you haven't subscribed already, please don't forget to subscribe. You will be able to see lovely videos from me each week. It would just mean so much to me. So without further ado, let's jump into this makeup tutorial. I already started with coconut oil on my skin, so now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and apply some eye cream. I'm going to be using the Visionaire eye cream to smooth out any of my lovely wrinkles under my eyes, because guys, I'm getting old. Next I'm going in with some primer. I'm using the MAC Natural Radiance Primer. This is the only primer that I find really helps control the oil in my T-zone, so I just focus it there, and I really find that it helps the foundation not to separate. So whenever I want my makeup to look flawless for a long time, this is normally my go-to primer. The thing I really like to do before I start my eyes is I take a little bit of my lash glue if I'm going to be applying false lashes, and I apply this normally to like the back of the lash casing. I just apply the glue right there, so that way by the time I go to apply my lashes, the glue is already kind of tacky and I can pop the lashes right on versus having to wait 30 seconds and then applying it, and then the glue might still be wet and then your lash falls off. So this just allows for the process to be a lot quicker. Priming my eye area using the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. I like using more matte finish concealers as eye bases because it just smooths out the eye area and it doesn't let the eyeshadow get creasy. If you use a concealer that's very creamy and like hydrating, it's not the best as an eyeshadow base because then it can cause the shadow to start separating and just not last as long throughout the day. We're just gonna set the concealer using the Patrick Star powder. Guys, I love this product. It works even better all over the face and under the eye, but for now I'm just gonna use it to set this so that the eyeshadows go on smoother. For this eye look, I know that I want to incorporate like greens and gold, but I do know that I want like a little warmth peeking through, like a burnt orange or something. So I'm gonna start with a very warm transition shade and then transition into the green tone. I start with MAC Texture. I'm going to apply this all throughout my crease. Hold the brush toward the end of the barrel. That way you get a very light wash of an application. If you hold the brush too close up, it's going to deposit too much of the product with too much pressure and it's going to look very harsh. Someone's at the door. So I'm going to switch into voiceover mode because my entire family just showed up. So when Puerto Ricans get together, it gets pretty loud.
Off by taking Red Brick by MAC. It's like a really pretty burnt orange, and I'm dusting that just kind of like below where I placed the texture, just doing a very light wash to just add some more of that warmth to the eyeshadow so it peaks above all the green colors that I will be placing after.
You and Titi Jude? What's your favorite eyeshadow palette? This one?
Yeah.
This is her favorite eyeshadow palette, the Jaclyn Hill.
Next, taking my MAC 217 and Nature is Calling. It's a green eyeshadow by Morphe. I'm taking that and buffing that on that last third of my eyelid and lightly sweeping that in my crease, keeping that just below where I placed the more warm tones, and just using a very light hand building up the intensity of the shadow. Now I'm taking the dark green color in the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette, and with my MAC 221, a more defined, fluffy-ish blending brush, I'm taking that on the outer third of my eyelid and then buffing that in my crease with a light hand. And I'm keeping that below the other green shade that we placed, using a very soft tan. I'm also going to lightly feather this on the first third of my eyelid, just to give a slight halo effect without it being too intense or too harsh. So I'm just lightly kind of doing circular motions on the front portion of the eyelid, the back portion of my eyelid, and in my crease. I'm then taking a clean blending brush and buffing out those edges so everything is nice and fused and there are no harsh lines. I did want some of the warmth peeking through, so I took a fluffy blending brush with some more of the warmer tones, and I'm just lightly buffing that to kind of help blend the green colors together. And then I wanted some more of that warm orange color, so I took Red Brick by MAC in a more dense blending brush, and I'm just focusing that just above the green so it's peeking through some more. I'm placing the Too Faced glitter glue on the center portion of my eye where there's no shadow, and I'm using that so that this Fenty highlight in the shade Trophy shows it more intense. So I'm now just packing that over top where I placed the glitter glue, and as you can see, it's just super vibrant and intense and just glittery and beautiful. And then to clean up the edges of the shade that I placed on my lid, I'm just taking my MAC 221 that had that darker green color and buffing out the edges. For lashes, I went in with the J lashes in the kind Zoe. I prepped my lashes with some mascara before I popped them on, and then I went ahead and popped them on off camera. Now I'm just cleaning up the edges of my shadow and adding some more depth with that darker green color in my MAC 221 and just kind of lightly buffing that out.
I'm going to mix the Dior Forever foundation with the Josie Marin Vibrancy. These foundations I don't really care for on their own, but when I mix them together, it's actually a pretty combination. The Dior one, I'm not gonna lie, I really did not like this foundation at first, and I really wanted to because so many people really enjoyed it, but for some reason on me, it would get super blotchy and it would be dark in certain spots. I think it's because my skin was getting a little bit drier and it was too matte of a foundation. So now whenever I use it, I just mix it with a more creamy hydrating one like this. And then I also like mixing because this one is in the shade 035. It's very neutral, almost cool tone. And then this one has more of a yellow tone. This is in electric. So when I mix them together, it's like the perfect balance. Make sure to clean up the edge of that eyeshadow. Concealer, I'm going to be using the Makeup Forever HD Concealer in R30. I'm not going to lie, the only reason I bought this concealer is because I saw Kim Kardashian use it. I was like, oh, I need that concealer. If Kim Kardashian uses it, I should use it too. Set the under eye, I'm going to be using the MAC Patrick Star powder. This powder is absolutely amazing. I'm really not just saying that, like it's one of the best transparent powders I've tried. It's not too matte, but then it's not too like creamy. It sets the under eye beautifully, and I like it because it's so fine, so like it's undetectable, but it gives you the most like smooth looking under eye. Just warming up the skin with some MAC Refined Golden Bronzer. Then I'll go in with a fluffier blending brush to kind of fuse it together. So mainly on the top part of my cheekbone is where I'm going in with this brush. For blush, I'm going to be taking the shade Pinch Me by MAC. For my highlight, one of my favorite combinations lately is MAC Soft and Dental mixed with the Fenty highlighter. The Fenty is really pretty by itself. It's definitely different, more iridescent. But when I don't want it to be too intense of a gold, I like mixing it with the Soft and Gentle. That's more of like a neutral champagne highlight. You can't get mad at that glow. It just looks so good. Just gonna take the Soft and Gentle down my nose. So, to marry my blush, contour, and highlight happily together, I'm just gonna go in with my MAC Studio Finish Perfecting Powder. It has a little bit of coverage, but it's still lightweight. This is in the color medium, and I'm just gonna buff that over everything to create a pretty filter. I'm now gonna fill in my brows off camera using my MAC. This is the Fluid Brow in True Brunette, and it's a little bit lighter than my natural hair because with pomades they tend to be a little bit more intense. So I got a lighter color so that way it just looks more natural. I can't even do natural. You guys know what I mean. My MAC Extended Play Mascara for the lower lash line. Use this color right here to highlight the tear duct. Warm tones, mixing texture and red brick under my lower lash line.
I'm going back in with a dark green in the Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette, and with my MAC 212, a more dense brush, I'm just stamping that super close to my lash line, keeping the more warm tones peeking through beneath of it. And then I'm going to take Red Brick by MAC and a fluffier pencil brush, and I'm going to use that to buff out the edges of the green tone so that it's nice and smoky, and then that way I have more of the warm orangey tones peeking beneath the green tones. I'm now just taking some transparent powder in a flat top eyeshadow brush and using that to clean up the edges of my eyeshadow, and I also use that to buff out under my eyebrow and kind of highlight it. Then for my lips, I'm taking the lip pencil in half red and applying the lipstick Twig by MAC. This is like a really pretty mauve combination. So I went ahead and lined my lips and then filled it in with the Twig lipstick. And last, since I thought my eyes looked like freakishly big, I went ahead and wanted to smoke out the inner lash line with some black eye pencil. So that's what I'm doing right now, just putting that in the inner waterline. There you have it. This is the completed look. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!